Okay, so now we're going to move on to the rough draft. Your rough draft sort of has two parts. So this first part is to prepare you to meet as a whole team in Mr. Cummings' class, right? And kind of have an organized way of discussing the evidence and if you're on the prosecution, what you think you could charge the defendant with, right? And if you're on the defense, what you think the prosecution might be charging your client with, and where are your opportunities to defend against those charges, right? So I'll kind of walk you through what I mean. So the first thing you want to do is this page in the packet, right? So your product is calling it a mock trial brief, right? So it's just like the brief is the plan, right? Your plan for your presentation of your side of the argument, right? So what steps do you have in order to be able to actually put this trial on and put witnesses on the stand and either prosecute or defend your defendant? So, well, you have to have a list of charges, right? So we said maximum of 3, right? So you have to pick 1, 2, or 3. How many are you going to actually charge and which ones? Because there's multiple to choose from. And then you have to identify what evidence there is for that charge, right? Looking at the law, right? So remember, some charges there requires intent or purpose. Others just require, that you did it with no special intent. So you have to look at the law and then figure out what your evidence is. Then you have to decide who can testify to that evidence, right? So if the defendant invaded a town, right, who can testify to that? Can you have soldiers from the other side, from the town side, defend? Can you have a victim, a resident of the town, witness it, a military leader on the other side, right? So who witnessed the events, right? If you're on the defense side, maybe, you're going to be arguing that it was justified, right? Whatever the action was justified in some way. So you need someone to not only testify as to perhaps the actual battle, but why there was a battle. Maybe they were rebelling against your leader, right? Well, who can testify to that? Who can show evidence that there was a rebellion? And so, your defendant, the client came in to put that rebellion down, right, and protect the empire, right? So these are just examples, but you have to think about who could testify to that to help your side, right? And then you're going to assign individual roles, who's going to be, which witnesses, who's going to be the lawyers. If you're the lawyers, what part are you going to take? The opening, the closing. Everyone has to do direct and everyone has to do cross-examination. But if you are doing the opening and closing statement, you would do less questioning. The other attorney or attorneys would do more. And then you have to actually write it up, right? So that you can practice, so you know what you're going to say. So that's the steps you're going to go through. What materials do you need? You need your research, right? You need your packet. You need your teammates, right? You need time. You need attention and focus, right? And so what problems might keep you from completing and being ready for the trial? Well, time management could be a problem. Arguing within your team could be a problem. Talking, being off task, goofing around instead of actually working. This is a space for a diagram, so you're welcome to use it if you want. I don't really see any huge need for it. If you're gonna maybe come up with some evidence in terms of, physical evidence, right? A map or something to tie the defendant to the scene or provide an alibi, something like that. You could draw something out, but for the most part, I don't think this project needs a diagram, so you can leave this part blank. Okay. All right. So now that you have kind of thought through the steps that you're going to need, we actually have to start to think about what is the defendant going to be charged with. Okay. And so I put this document in your packet. Okay. So this is kind of team planning. You're going to do it individually, but the idea behind it is you as an individual looking at your evidence. What would you charge the person with? Even if you're on the defense, right? What would you charge them with? What are some charges? There's room for 4 in your packet. So you're going to do 1 page per charge. So the defendant needs to be charged with at least one crime, okay? Could be as many as 3. I put 4 in there just in case, so that you have options to choose from, right? And so for Pliny, my first charge was murder, okay? Well, what did he do that was murder, right? So was there war? Was there assassination, arrest, right? Did they assassinate their dad or their brother, or, to take power, or did they attack, right? Hannibal attacking Rome, attacking cities along the way, the specific cities, right? Be specific, right? So if there were a series of events, right? So you're going to charge with murder because they attacked, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Hannibal. They attacked a lot of cities, right? So you could list them all here, right? For Pliny, right? Again, going back to Pliny, just as your example, right? Well, he left the residence. He left the residence of Herculaneum and Pompeii to die. I could add here that he didn't rescue the people in Stabia, right? At the Villa Pomponiana, right? He failed to rescue them. I didn't put that on here, but I could. Both of those are murders. So that would be like 2 counts of murder as the charge, okay? So the location and date, I should have put 79 AD. We do know the date was August 24th, 79 AD. I should have put that on here, okay? It was at Mount Vesuvius. The cities were Herculaneum, Pompeii. Could have added Stabia. I could have added Villa Pomponiana, right? Those are all specific things that were in the letters that we know were historically accurate. Witnesses. Okay, well, we know for sure Rectina, she was a historically accurate person. She was left, right? He failed to rescue her. From the book, like you're going to create other characters, right? So there were other people that he left behind. You can create them. So Cleo and Thalia, for example, our author created these characters. You're going to do the same thing with witnesses, right? So the residents, other citizens, the magistrates in the cities, the drunk men that we encountered in the book, runaway slaves, right? Like, so you're going to start thinking about, you don't have to come up with names like I did with Cleo and Thalia, but you want to start thinking about who was there, right? That you could create a character, like our author created Cleo and our author created Thalia and our author created these characters in the story, right? You're going to do the same thing. Witnesses or bystanders who were present and saw what happened. Eyewitnesses. Okay, well, in our book, right, Vulcan was there, Lupus was there, Phrixus, Pliny's scribe was there, and the sailors on the ship. They were all there to see Pliny turn away and leave the residents stranded and not rescue them. Okay, so all of those could be witnesses on the stand, right? And then people who were present who saw what happened for the defense. Well, kind of same thing. You could have Phrixus as a witness for the defense, for sure, right? Like he's probably going to say that Pliny had no choice, right? The sailors on his ship. So what is the defense, right? Why is it that he's not guilty of murder? Well, and I just jotted down some things that these witnesses would say. It was too dangerous. He was risking the lives of the sailors to try and go closer, the destruction of the ship if he went closer, that, this volcano was beyond his control. It wasn't like, he could really fight it, right? And so those would be the kinds of testimony that these witnesses would give for the defense, right? On the flip side, right, you're going to say that, well, they didn't try smaller boats. They didn't try to get in. He could have tried harder. They could have launched the small little lifeboats, right, off the ship to try and rescue them. So these characters for the prosecution, right, might be talking about why he should have tried harder, for example. If you were to include the murder charge for not leaving immediately when he got to Villa Pomponiana, right? He wanted dinner and he wanted a bath and he wanted to sleep. So again, you would have witnesses, the defense would have witnesses arguing why that was justified and understandable, and the prosecution would have witnesses arguing why that was terrible and obviously the wrong decision, and he's responsible for making the wrong decision. That's the kind of thing you're going to be doing. And this form is just kind of like, It's not to write out testimony. It's just kind of list what are the possibilities of like the types of people who were there to create as witnesses, and what in general would they be testifying to. Okay, so you do want to try and put down specific locations and specific dates. Okay, so this is for the murder charge. There would be, another one for, if you're going to charge with arson, if you're going to charge your defendant with theft, if you're going to charge your defendant with imprisoning people unjustly, right? Things like that. Then you would, there's a place for you would do this for each charge. Okay. And then when you come together in Mr. Cummings' class, the idea is you all have these done. You can compare notes and decide, this is the charge we want. These are the places. These are the witnesses that we're going to include. This is our best kind of use of witnesses.